Namaskaram and Swagatam to the backwater dialogues by the serene Lake Ashtamudi. Today, while cruising on the Lake Ashtamudi, we have a very special guest with us. More than a guest, a professional whose career has spread across 45 illustrious years, especially focused in the hospitality industry in India. Shri Sanjay Rai, who started his career with ITC hotels, then the Oberois, Sarovar, then back on Oberois, and today with us at the Raviz Ashtamudi as an advisor and a mentor as part of the Leela Palaces Hotels and Resorts. So we would be taking Mr. Sanjay Rai on a cruise today, and during the cruise we will be knowing more about him. We will be asking him more about his culture, more about his feelings towards the industry as a professional and as a person. So some of my colleagues are also joining me today from various departments or various sections or various strata of the industry. So I welcome you all to join us on our cruise at the mighty floating fort, which would be taking us through the interiors of this beautiful and amazing backwaters of Ashtamudi. So welcome to the Backwater Dialogues.
That life is about time and chance. 1991, I walked in with 1.5 suits, with long hair, which you'll find difficult to imagine now. To my horror, this man picked up a knife and fork. Eyebrows, he raised his eyebrows and did whatever. I said, Gaya. Ambition is not a bad word, don't get me wrong. You know, leadership is a very seductive term. I'm a leader. Because there's a thin line between being VP and VP.
We already had the introduction at the initial stage before Sir walks into this marvelous boat. So now, on behalf of all of you, I'm actually going straight to some questions which we all combinedly prepared and shared, sir. Knowing you is something which personally happened to me at my current age where I am now. So I had to wait till my age of 50 to meet such a person with such an insight I always cherish. So my first thing to you, straight, sir, that I want to know, or rather we would like to know that, is there anything which, as a professional, when you started at your early ages, when you started on 1983, you currently think that someone would have advised you that particular thing which you still would have cherished?
So, thank you, Ashish ji. Hindsight is always 20/20. You can always. I must begin by saying I have simply no regrets. I'll answer your question.
Yes.
I must begin by expressing a sense of gratitude. And I'm not saying what I'm going to say next for effect. I've been extremely fortunate that with my very limited abilities, that I've had the opportunity to work for over 4.5 decades in what you call the branded segment. I used to work earlier too. And why do I say this? I say this actually to remind myself every day that there are many people out there who are more talented, but by a quirk of fate, they have not got the opportunity. And this is a message I share with all that I come in contact with my colleagues, that life is about time and chance. Just do it. 80% of our work gets done by that visiting card that bases trust in you, gave you that opportunity. In sales, early on in my career, I had this notion that sales is an isolated department, and the key to success is based on individual heroics. Later on, realization dawned on me that sales is a subset of the larger organization, and that is important to realize and integrate to deliver commercial success. One of the driving forces, I've been asked earlier that, how did you choose hospitality sales?
Yes.
So for me, the attraction, and by the way, as cliched as it sounds, I actually got into hospitality by a quirk of fate, if you'll allow me to say this.
Please.
I was working with, which is popularly known, at least in those days, as a pure play Thereafter, it diversified into paper and paperboard. Thereafter, it diversified into hotels. And thereafter, it diversified into agri-businesses. And today, it's known as a foods major and so on and so forth. So, I was doing industrial selling for very, very ignored in the public eye division called packaging and printing. Packaging and printing division had two factories, one located in Tiruvatiur outside Madras and one in Mongher in Bihar. The prime purpose of those factories was to cater to the in-house packaging requirements of the tobacco products that they created. But alongside, they decided to cater to the packaging and printing requirements of dairy, detergent, food, liquor industries, to name a few. So, example, those lovers of whiskey and so on and whatever would remember Royal Challenge whiskey, Bandmaster blend, Amul butter cartons, Surf cartons with the family on that Surf as examples. Thereafter, I was selected, handpicked, into agri-businesses and relocated from Bombay to Hyderabad to sell edible oil, refined groundnut oil called Crystal, refined sunflower oil called Sundrop. Because of a personal emergency in my family, I had a need to relocate from Hyderabad to Bombay, to Delhi. They didn't have a job for me. And as we say in life, somebody comes calling. As an act of providence, we are today meeting for the first time. It wasn't destined. And one wise person, a very senior person in ITC said, we think you'll do okay in hotels. So you can imagine. So that was, I joined in 1983 ITC. Yes. 1991, I walked in with 1.5 suits, with long hair, which you'll find difficult to imagine now. I only used to see hotels from a distance. I used to be a sportsman. So I was perennially hungry. So I only imagined, question of affording any hotel, forget 5-star hotel was out of the question. And my first interaction was with the general manager of that flagship, where I went on to become what you call director sales and marketing. I was that. At 32, I walked in, I met this gentleman. He was wearing an absolute Savile Row suit, eyebrows absolutely in place. There was a beauty parlor I had discovered later in the floor, and lapel and everything. And there was this scruffy looking girl, a chap. I had just spent the night with my mother who was in the hospital. She was not well. So he looked at me like this, so we had a conversation, did what I was selling, or whatever I did, I don't know. Then came a very interesting phase. And like in my checkered career, I've had many downs. And with God's grace, the fact that I'm still here, I don't know about the next moment, I've also been rewarded for giving me, people have given me work. So at 1 o'clock or 1:15, this gentleman said, I'm going to have lunch. Would you like to have lunch? I was starving. So we came out of the general manager's office, and there were 5 chaps next to him to take him to what is called the pavilion in Maria Sheraton. So they looked at me and said, who's this and whatever. So we sat down. So they kept asking him what he wanted to eat. Finally he said, I'm going to have a masala dosa. What will you have? I said, I'll also have the same. And here comes the tricky point. The moment of truth for me. The masala dosa arrived. To my horror, this man picked up a knife and fork. I also picked up a knife and fork. I did this. That potato flew and went straight here. He raised his eyebrows and did what I said, Gaya. Life has its own way. Well, to cut a long story short, clearly I worked. So I delivered. I did whatever I had to do. I felt the challenge of hospitality. The domain of hospitality is the ultimate test of sales, where you are selling the intangible. It is the ultimate test of raising the bar of a product from what can be perceived as a commodity to a brand where commerce is done through relationships. And like I was mentioning, there can be relationships, but we in sales are the conduit between the brand that we represent and the target customer. So, meaningful relationships, granular engagement, and the complexity. The challenge was the complexity of the B2B space, where you're dealing with the intermediary, but the end target is somebody else. I hope my answer is in
Sir,
some ways
extremely,
whatever. Yeah. So.
From your transition time from the ITC to hospitality, then you moved into the Oberoi's, then we moved to Sarovar Hotels, then again you came back to the Oberoi's. In between you have been into the healthcare segment. Now in this huge transition or huge journey which you have actually traveled across your professional career and your personal things. As budding leaders, what would be the right thing which should have been caught in your mind that to get into a leadership role, which should be a mandatory factor or which there should be something to be tried upon?
I can only share with you my thoughts.
Yes.
For me, my learnings in life, which have held me in good stead, number one is that titles and chairs are transitory, sir. Content is what matters. I can aspire to be vice president, general manager, X, Y, whatever. Ambition is not a bad word, don't get me wrong. Ambition is important. Do I fit into that role? There is often a trap when I'm trying to demand that I'm given the next level of promotion, that I may continue to do what I was already doing in my comfort zone. Do I have the skill sets and the actual character to transition from one who is driven by individual targets where it is I, to extend myself into a space where beyond the quota that is assigned to me to deliver, I am able to enable through systems, through contact leadership, by working with my colleagues to enable them to succeed. I hope I'm getting it. Are you with me?
Yes.
You know, leadership is a very seductive term. I'm a leader. It's not for us to define I'm a leader. Therefore, I feel very embarrassed when, with good intention, Ashish ji and some of you would pay me respect. That's very kind of you. Actually, that exhibits your grace. But my actions should really dictate that. And I would encourage everyone not to get enamored by the idea of my next designation. And I say this with experience because there's a thin line between being VP and VP. I have done various roles. I've had the privilege of being given all these titles. And now see where I am.
Yeah.
But if you romance your work in the true romantic notion, I'm not talking of flirting with a thought. I get my promotion and now I'm thinking, how will I get there? Or why did that person get this? Leadership is actually an underrated aspect, Ashish ji. Every one of you has your own experiences, your thoughts. I'm being given a platform to talk, so I'm sharing. A truly underrated attribute of genuine leadership is one who is able to identify colleagues irrespective of their age and tenure in the organization and allow them the liberty in this forum to say, Sanjay Rai, I don't agree with you. And I should suppress my bad ego and say, go ahead, young man or young lady, I'm eager to listen to you, provided you have an executable idea that helps organization. Remember what I said at the beginning? Organization first. If the organization gets fortified, the team gets strengthened. If the team gets strengthened, the leader in me also has more sustainability in his career. Lots of managers masquerade as leaders because of their insecurity quotient. I'm also insecure. I've been insecure. But there's good insecure feeling and there's bad insecure feeling. Yeah, this guy is going to be a problem for me. Or a younger subordinate then questions you and you say, who is he to question me? And you genuinely feel insecure about that person. You know, it's okay not to know everything. I'll give you an example if you'll allow. There was some guru who came from Ahmedabad. Organizations have these sessions. So, the session started one day. I was 3 months old into my room. I had 5 lady managers working with me in our sales team and besides the other gentlemen. So imagine a situation where that gentleman, so I'm looking at Dr. Akama and my colleague then was a lady called Priya Jaikishan. Mr. Nair is that guru. He says something, a concept, something. And at that moment, my gaze catches your gaze. That momentary. And your expression, Dr. Akama, to me was, in that moment, मेरे लिए तो ये bouncer चला गया. Boss, you should have known about this. I did not do this on this in the moment. That moment went. The truth of the matter is I didn't understand what he said. The whole day, till I reached home, till my head touched the pillow, I was agonizing with this. It's like that dull pain in my back. And my conscience told me, Sanjay, it's okay not to know. Why pretend? I was not pretending, but I was guilty. Lot of managers masquerading as leaders have this problem. Arey yaar, if I show that I don't know this, there's a problem. What will he think of me or her? Actually, and the next morning I went. The session started at 11 o'clock. I had my morning meeting in my office with my sales team. I said, before we start, I have something to say. Yes. So I looked at Priya. Priya, you remember that moment? Which moment? I tell you. Remember that gentleman raised that thing? She said, yes, I didn't know. I'm sure you would have known about it, etc. I said, actually, I didn't know. So that's all right. I said, no. I was uncomfortable the whole day. So what I'm trying to express to you is, A, it is our loss. The world will move on. The brand will move on, whether I'm here or not. And as I was telling some of you, I'm trying very hard to remain relevant and maximizing every day. And in the space, sir, that you and I inhabit, we are only as good as our last guest experience. We are measured by the number of lights that are on in our hotels versus competition. There is just no room for complacency. To use a cricketing analogy, you begin from zero. And if you romance your work, and in HR, you hire people who are better than you. In many people say, if I hire somebody better than me, what will happen to my job? Excuse me, paradigm shift. Go back to the thought. If I hire people, if I surround myself with talent, I will prevent the organization from regressing into mediocrity. And then, if further mediocrity increases, the organization will not remain and I will go extinct. So desist from the Chanda Suraj brigade. Sir, boss, you are very right. The sky is green today. It is important. I believe that the skill of the youth and perhaps the wisdom also of the youth and the wisdom of those who have what you call experience, because they have spent more time in life, but that can be an unbeatable combination. But for trust to be established, I do not buy into this thought. Am I extending my answer?
No,
Am I making some responses?
No, my next question is actually related to this.
Please, sir.
Sir, your career span, maybe I don't want to use the term career, your lifespan in professional scenario is almost 4 decades.
4.5
decades, starting from the ITC doorsteps to
Actually,
now
it's
the
crossed
current
5 decades
Yes.
because I worked in other places.
Yes. Okay, it's almost 5 decades there.
Yeah, no, it was with other jobs.
And been from a full-fledged executive vice president of the Oberois, and now with your very critical and sensitive portfolio of being the advisor for sales for the Leela Palaces, Hotels and Resorts. So, during the entire 5 year span, do you really want to become a leader? That is my first question. And second is that in your career or in your tenure, how do you gauge? It's going to be a very micro question. You have to pardon me because it's an academic thing. How do you average performers and the best performers? How do you used to do that?
Very good question. Thank you very much. First of all, I have not planned my growth.
Yeah.
You may find it strange. I just wanted to work. Each one of us has our own life story. What goes on inside, only we are privy to. Some of us go the straight path, some of us go in a different thing. But I was driven by one thing, that I did not want to be dependent on others. And even in my low moments, I felt it was very important, this drive in me for my dignity and the desire to contribute. I'll answer your question.
Yes.
But before that, I have to relate it to my first part.
Yeah.
For me, if people ask, how have you survived or thrived for so long? It has not been my success. I have never ever hesitated to ask for help. I have tapped into, interestingly enough, people who are much, much younger in career span. And that's why I coined this line, surround yourself with talent. Because for a selfish reason, I reached out to them so that I could be enriched. And if I got enriched, I could create the environment for their longevity. One mistake young professionals make, and I think lots of other professionals also make at a serial. I'll be very candid.
Irrespective of industry.
Yeah. No, I'm talking specific now of our industry.
Hospitality.
Right now. Please don't confuse yourself by relating productivity with the number of emails that you send. And activity. At the end of the day, it is about outcomes. Secondly, if I may say, life is about time and chance. Just do it. Don't wait for managing your internal boss. Seek clarity on what your role is and just go after and do it. You will not have any reason to worry. I'm talking first about attitude.
Yes.
But in my business, there are no second chances. Thirdly, for you to succeed, particularly in this era where technology is present everywhere, do not waste your time by not reading. Preparation is very, very key. I'm going on a call to IBM. What is it that I know about IBM? Remember, the person on the other side would love talking about his company, his brand. So, every salesperson must make it their business to know their target's business. That will give you airtime. with the client, get them to talk. We obsess about getting business. I want rooms booking, I want this business. Do we understand the companies who we are targeting their business? Let me give you an example. Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
I once went to do a sales call or a customer call with Mr. Guneet Chadda, the chairman and MD of Deutsche Bank Asia Pacific, in his Bombay office some 15 years, 20 years ago. After I was talking to him, he stopped me. He said, Sanjay, I understand your passion, I understand your commitment. But did you know that I oversee 32 different businesses under my responsibility? In one business, when I go for a review, they take me to the fanciest Chinese restaurant. In one business, they give me Parle G biscuits and coffee. The message was, one size doesn't fit all. Difference between information and knowledge. Oh, I know it. Information remains in your head. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is transferable. When we keep asking from the organization, sir, what about giving back to the organization? I leave the job, I've got 5,000 rupees increment, somewhere I go. There's a hole there, right? The new person comes, says, no handover, no nothing, no nothing. Where is trust gone? Therefore, when you do your work, all that we spoke of today, sir, I'm only suggesting that to building you have careers ahead of you. Many would argue I'm past my sell-by date, and I have no problems. But I like to celebrate your success on the sidelines by saying, hey, you know what? So knowledge is critical. A MICE account, a corporate account. There are internal meetings and there are external meetings. When you map them, we spoke in the morning about revenue, giving the big picture, revenue picture. So if you map Standard Chartered Bank, which are their internal meetings, what is the budget they have for that? Because those are costs. And see where in our repertoire of product and services we can fit them in. Which is the lowest period in a city hotel, Friday check-in, Saturday check-out perhaps, in low demand days. In rainy season, in a resort location, or when the temperatures are soaring above 50 degrees, and what is it that we can do? Then they have external meetings. In the external meetings, their budgets are more. So, I encourage for their own survival, forget about anything else with the technology going the way it is, and OTA like has entered the corporate arena by giving them everything they want at the click of a button. If we don't recognize, but yet we are the ones who are managing the account relationship. So, for me, it's so critical for you all to understand that the other thing in luxury selling, my insight on luxuries, when we are selling luxury, for example, it is not only about food, beverage, revenue, square footage. It is about trust. It is about time. It is about experiences. That is the defining feature. Would you agree?
Yes.
And for that, so trust, time, consistency. 3. The client has trusted you to create this. So if stay is baseline, memories is,
Create.
experience is second. Our desire as a differentiator is to create memories. That's palace here. Whatever we do. And memories don't need to be created. We recognize that people create magic, right? Brick and mortar can only take you so far. But if all of us equip ourselves with authentic storytelling capabilities, remember the difference between manufacturing and our spaces. In manufacturing, if a glass is defective, I can remove it from the batch. I get a second chance. In the space that you and I are in, the product is born at the time of impact. I spoke a little while earlier about this. Subconsciously, if you wear the customer's shoes, you will clearly realize that how much is you are subconsciously making up your mind whether to go with this guy or not go with this guy. Basis on the passion, commitment, knowledge, solution finding capabilities of the seller.
I was listening to you, sir, when you mentioned at the helm of affairs of sales at the Leela Palace Hotels and Resorts, the last 90 days of your 3 months, you actually mentioned very casually, but very yet formally, in the sense with the weightage, that you did 102 in-person meetings. The second part is that in today's world, where you have everything technologically driven, AI driven, all the sales and marketing professionals, in irrespective of whichever industries, relying more on technology, emails, WhatsApps, other communication channels, you are still relying more on the in-person meetings, which took most of the people gathered here for a surprise, and you are keeping a track in a more meticulous and professional manner. Second, the young generation, which is relying more on technology, then comes both culminate into something called the relationship. Ultimately, everything is relationship. So, how do you correlate this triangle, sir? And how do you envision yourself, or basically what advice would you like to give from your insights and experience, how to manage this context in a synergized manner, or which is the right channel to focus as far as relationships are concerned?
Thank you, Ashish. Does anybody know how many salespeople are employed by Leela? Offline. Okay, it's a large number. Okay.
It's a large number.
Leela, Raviz has salespeople, etc. Yeah. Why are they there? If they are going to do technology, then we are not required. The reason why we are there is if I can make a distinction between Western markets and Indian and this South Asia markets, including Middle East. In the Western world, you have a product, I have a need, we do business. That's transaction. In our space, can you imagine somebody has mice business? If I just go and tell him, listen, I have a product, give me business. He'll say, acha, theek hai. Unless chemistry gets established, you're not able to make any inroads. The reality is, our country still has significant opportunity for person-to-person engagement. As long as the B2B channel is open, and the difference between an ordinary salesperson who speaks only about his hotel's features and a cutting-edge sales professional is one who knows his target customer's business and is actually doing my role as a consultant and advising, not to use this word consultant or advising, enabling that customer to achieve success by saying, please share with me your requirements, then I will map it, and then I will, to ensure customer, your success, give you options which will be value driven. What we do is we go transaction based. Today you have a conference, everyone runs after this, 7 other hoteliers are also going after that. One can only win. You mentioned technology. Where is all this data going? The fear is if you're going to only react. Let me pause here, sir, and give you some examples. So let's take an example of a general manager, a salesperson, and a client. Okay? Smita is a bank. Sanjay Rai is assistant manager or sales executive. Now you don't even have that title called sales executive. Poor fellow, where he is gone or whatever, I don't know.
I think we have.
No, I'm saying it sarcastically actually, because for me it's content that matters. It doesn't matter whether you spend 2 months in the company. You have been hired by the company because they had faith in your potential. They are not going to wait like India is waiting for, I don't know what, many of Vaibhav Suryavansh's fans are saying, when will you get more chance? The others are insecure. No, I'm not talking, I'm digressing. So, and Prem is the general manager of Leela Udaipur. Okay? I walk into your call. I've been able to somehow or the other get a meeting with you. Now the interaction happens in a manner which says, because I'm sales executive, I'm assistant manager, you don't know me well enough. But you give me certain clues that your company is considering an opportunity. Oh, you guys also have a hotel? Acha, acha. You also have a hotel. He knows, but you pretend whatever. Finally, you say, acha, yaar, you send me a quotation, but we haven't yet decided. I step out of the call. I immediately call up Prem. He takes my call. Sir, I'm Sanjay Rai. Oh, yeah. Tell me what, can I take a minute of your time? He said, yes. I have just stepped out. CI Bank. Sir, it'll be wonderful if you can make a call to this person. They are considering. Prem says, send me the number. This is customer psychology. You asked me what excited me about hospitality. It's got so much to do with your target market's psychology, right? Prem calls up this person, messages. I am Prem, general manager of Leela Udaipur. Finally, you connect with that person. Can I take a moment of your time? He said, okay, go ahead. So my young colleague Sanjay Rai came to meet with you. Little while. Aha, oh yeah. Yes. He came, yes. Oh, but we haven't decided anything. I said, no, madam. I have called up as captain of the team, Leela Udaipur, Leela Raviz Kovalam, Leela Raviz Ashtamudi. I just wanted to convey a message to you that me in my team will do everything possible to create wonderful memories should you consider Udaipur as a destination. You have not talked price, you have not talked anything. Call ended. Prem sends a message to Sanjay Rai, I've done the call. Let's begin with the customer. Customer says, Smita says to herself, very interesting. That boy who came to see me in the morning, I took him lightly. His hunger for business and his we spoke about connectedness in Mr. Bagchi's story. With the general manager calling me, my ego, along with my ego gratification, is also coming into mind that these guys are hungry. There's a commitment from the top. So you suddenly have got into the consideration set. The sales executive says, boss, for this general manager, I'll give my life. Look at what I'm trying to convey to you.
Yes.
Customers are looking at ease of doing business. But it is incumbent on the salesperson, I repeat and repeat, unless you read, unless you have proactive knowledge, unless you are self-starters, and forget hierarchy. Reach the general manager. Finally, the general manager has to be accountable. I can only say this to you, sir. I don't buy this thing about Gen Z. Oh, they don't have the patience, they don't have this. What is Gen Z? We all transition from one era to another. We had parents, my parents are gone, they brought some people into this world. I will go, somebody else will come. Which brings me to the point of leadership style. There are two types of leadership. One is called facilitative leadership and one is called contact leadership. Facilitative leadership is, in case you have a problem, then come to me. Now that can be double-edged, depending on how you are perceived by your colleagues. You are better not to trouble him, because if we get him, we'll get into a loop. Or it could genuinely be where this guy is helpful. Mr. Ayappan, I call him, he'll sort it out in a moment. I'll call up Anup Pandey, it'll happen like this. Something will happen. See, I'm getting inspired by this environment.
Yes. So we are also fortunate to listen to your life journey while actually cruising on the lake.
I think
Thank you, sir. We are really indebted to you for your time and your patience. All that you have done, been taken the pain to come from Delhi to this wonderful land, which we call it as heaven, which has got a great stories in and around. And I think on behalf of each of us in this room, a big thank you, sir,
Thank
for
you,
all
Ashish.
that you have shared.
Thank you, Ashish.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I don't know your names, but you've been standing on your feet, three
Yes.
of you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd also like to conclude by actually expressing my gratitude to you, as I said, and I repeat probably for the third time, that I never came here as some extraordinary individual. I'm just blessed with every such opportunity. And the fact that you provided me the platform, you tolerated me for whatever, I can only tell you whatever little I knew or know, I have shared with you. And finally, I would like to wish each one of you and your loved ones good health and happiness in life's continuing journey, and loads of professional success for brand Raviz, supported by Leela.
Supported very well.
God bless.
Thank you.